Greetings. Welcome to Speak Nerd and Enter.
Hey guys, so the Obi-Wan came out this week,
It
and
did?
I saw
What?
that. Yeah, and
Huh?
I saw that yesterday. What'd you think?
Oh, who's first, Drew or me? Let's go with Drew. He looks
Yeah,
like
let's go
he's
with
he's
Drew.
bursting at the seams.
Uh, this will probably be the third time I've raved about this raged about this
Raged. Uh-oh,
with
we're off to a good start.
Lori and Sarah. So Sarah and I watched it last night, and it's kind of surprising that she was in agreement with me as well. But I have to say, I am not digging it. I mean, it is. I was really excited for it, and it's kind of funny. There was a little trepidation there because this week there was a Star Wars celebration, and one of the first things they did was they've released the Riva character on all three lines of action figures. The retro, which is a classic look to the '80s Kenner figures, vintage, which is the normal 3 3/4 inch figures, and the Black Series, the 6 inch figures. And then the HasLab, which is the special toy, is her lightsaber. And I'm like, oh, that's usually never a good sign. I mean, it usually is bad. Like they're trying to convince you that, no, this is good. This character's great.
Oh, you mean extra hype coming out
Yeah,
for it to
yeah.
try to? I got you.
I think there's major writing problems in this show right out of the gate. But probably, I think that one of the most glaring, horrible, badly written, badly acted, everything about it visually is unappealing is the Riva character. I think she's terrible. I mean, I can't. I'm not going to pull punches
Who's
here.
Reva, the human inquisitor?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Yeah, yeah.
the black lady. What's her
Yep.
third sister or something? Or
Yeah, third sister. Yeah, yeah.
they, you know, for one thing, there's two things going against her right away. Number one, she looks like a regular black lady off the street, and she's supposed to be like some bad guy. Like you look at the other Inquisitors, like the lady and the two other dudes, and they're like pasty and veiny, and they've got cool helmets and cool like something different about the way they look. And she looks like a pedestrian-looking lady, and then she tries to get on all tough, like
All right. Well, to be fair though, Obi-Wan just looks like some old dude.
yeah,
Right?
that's
You know
true.
what I'm saying? So
But
like
he's
they're
not the
supposed to
bad
be
guy.
ex-Jedi or whatever. I know, but I'm saying is to be one of these inquisitors, I don't get the impression
Well,
that you have to be some
well,
wacky
wait.
alien.
What do you think of it, Mark? Real quick before Drew.
I'm a little more neutral on it. You know what I mean? Like it didn't
Yeah,
give me everything that I was looking for. So let me start with like a couple of I'm not gonna say negatives, but things I didn't particularly like was how Obi-Wan was like turning away the spoilers, whatever. If you're still listening, forget it. You know that younger Jedi dude shows up, like that youngling who got away or whatever, and he shows up, and the Inquisitor's chasing after him, and you know like
yeah,
he shows up and Obi-Wan's like, "Oh, go bury your stuff in the desert and like blend in and don't do anything," and it felt very much like he gave up.
Right.
You know, we lost, we gave up. There's nothing we could do. Oh no, which I never got that from the original trilogy. That you know, old Ben was like giving up on the Jedi Order and just oh no, it looks like the Empire won. You know what I'm saying? So there was that kind of sense that didn't really that didn't fit my view of the character.
It's that breaking
Oh
down the good guy again.
yeah,
I hate this crap that we're going through now.
it's
yeah.
and I will say for before we do the deep dive, for me, I'm probably more along the lines of Mark's, where I don't know, I'm kind of a mix of the two.
Right.
Actually,
Yeah.
I'll probably end up agreeing more with Drew on it,
Well,
but I'm
unfortunately, I
hopeful.
think I might end up in that. But let me finish. Like
Yeah,
that was the one major negative thing I had to pull out of that was like I don't ever picture Obi-Wan as being this kind of like, oh no, we lost. You know, now if your secret mission is keep your head down and watch over Luke, that's a
yeah.
different take on it. We haven't got far enough in to where we go, whatever. Um, Having Leia in there, I kind of like. We've never seen Alderaan. We've never seen Bail Organa and kind of, outside of him in very small scenes. And so in some ways I'm like, oh, this could be interesting. It was unexpected. I didn't think they were going to go there. and I'm on board. Drew doesn't like it. I can tell he's shaking
No,
his head.
no, I did.
I was like,
I'm with
oh, okay,
you.
let's see where it goes. It was
I'm with you
unexpected
on
to
this.
me, but they can handle it poorly or they can handle it great.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
handled it poorly.
See, I agree that Drew is wrong about the Leia thing. I don't know why he hates young Leia,
I
but
don't
I
hate
went.
Leia. Oh my
No, I agree with you, Mark. I liked the Leia bit. I thought the actress they got for her was actually very good.
But the
I
writing
liked her.
sucked.
Well,
Yeah,
no. That's not what
well,
I'm
here's
saying. What
another
I'm
problem I
saying
had
is
with it. You got,
I liked the energy she brought for the character. I
yeah,
liked her persona, or not her, well, yeah, I guess her persona for it. It kind of
right.
seemed like that would have been what Leia was like as a kid. It's kind of a nudge and kind of stubborn,
I
cute in a
agree with
way,
all of that. Like, I
and
liked her as a character, but
yeah.
come on, man, who can't win a foot race against a 10-year-old?
I
No,
know.
that's not what I'm saying.
I
That's
know,
not what I'm
but I'm
saying.
saying that is the other thing I would be like negative. Is this kid's running away from three bad guys in the
It
woods?
was edited
Uh,
so poorly.
Yeah.
it
The
was.
guy runs into a branch. He's like, oh, you know.
Well, that
Yeah,
was the
yeah.
thing. I heard or I saw somebody's comment on that where they said, are you serious? You can't outrun a kid. She's going like 1 mile an hour,
Right.
and you were thwarted by a branch like
Yeah,
three
but
Right.
like
times.
the physics of it, your legs are longer as an adult, so you automatically run faster than somebody with shorter legs. Like that's how it works.
It
Plus, you're
reminded
stronger and faster, and all
And
of these other things.
she ran exactly like you would. It was almost like a stereotype of a little girl running.
Yeah.
When she ran so ridiculously slowly, and it felt like a WB series when I was watching that part,
it,
and
the thing that was really bothersome to me, besides like it was poorly edited and them trying to catch her, but there was so much running in the two episodes, and it was edited so poorly. It reminded me of the chase scene in Boba Fett, how slow it was and how
yeah,
clunky. They get these new directors, these guys that really don't have a lot of history with doing this particular genre or action or anything, and then they just crap the bed when it comes to these scenes. And I mean, I think, like, I thought the writing for that character when
Right, well, actually, let me stop you there real quick because on these bigger budget things, I'm not going to blame the director 100% because
no,
hold on, if the three of us were going to go out in my backyard and make a movie, we'd be like, okay, here's what's going to happen, action, and you'd do the thing and we'd film it or whatever. That's not how Star Wars works. That's not how the big budget stuff works. Is they'll do pre-visualization where they'll actually use sometimes people draw it out like a storyboard. Nowadays they do a lot of 3D video, kind of almost like cutscene animation from a video game type of thing where they're literally lay out, here's what we're going to shoot, here's what it's going to look like, and all the corporate heads are like, yeah, let's shoot that. Then you physically shoot it, then you cut it. You know what I'm saying? So this was not an accident or a bad call I'm going to blame on just the director.
right, but
Because you know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of cooks involved in this, and
if you were the director, you'd be like, that doesn't look right.
Right, I agree with you.
A final view of this, and he'd be like, no, that doesn't look right. In this case, it was some lady, Deborah something, I think. I don't know.
Deborah Chow.
Yeah. So I have to say, I also thought that the writing, I mean, some of the lines, like I don't know anything about this actress playing Reva. She could be the greatest actress ever, but I think those lines that she had to deliver, I really felt like when she, in the second episode, when she's looking for Obi-Wan, it felt like I was watching The Warriors. It's like, can the Warriors come out to play? Warriors!
Yeah, when she's doing the sing-song Obi-Wan thing. Yeah, that's where I would blame the director is on that, because you're setting the tone for how the scene should be played, and it came across like someone who was trying to play a villain.
That's exactly.
And
okay, because I'm not that critical of the overall 2 episodes that I've seen. I'm a solid 5, 6, 7. I'm neutral on them. Like they were fine, and I also didn't mind that we did not get to see Obi-Wan get into a big lightsaber battle because we know that's going to come. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay,
I'll tell you,
you're stringing me along, but I understand it. So
I'll tell you that actually brings me to something I did like about this, because it was an odd mixture of stuff. There were like little things that I did like a lot, And then there were things that really took me out of it, like the whole chase scene with Leia and the whole, Reva's trying to be frightening and all of that.
Yeah.
And but the thing that I did like, that I thought was really cool, that I always wondered why they didn't include this in the others, um, the martial arts aspect of the training that they had in there, I thought was awesome. I love that they opened it up in the beginning with them. And I know you don't know much about the different styles and stuff, but it looked very much kind of like a Bagua style that they were doing at the very beginning with the kids, which
Yeah, I
I
was
thought
thinking
was
the same thing when I watched it.
which was great. I thought that was an excellent choice for Jedi, to look very Jedi-like. And the fight scene then when Order 66 came down and the teacher lady who's with him, she goes immediately to the saber and, nope. I love that. It was no
Yeah,
nonsense. And it was like, okay, Jedi wouldn't be flummoxed by this. It would be like, "Yeah, okay, this is what we're doing." And
yeah.
get going and then figure stuff out later.
And you know
And I
that Riva's
thought,
to be one of those characters, don't
do
you?
what?
You know that Riva's going to be one of those kids.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that
Yeah,
was actually confirmed already. But what I'm saying is that scene, that whole sequence there in the beginning, I thought was great. I saw
yeah.
that and I was like, oh man, that's awesome. I wish they'd have had more of that in actually the older films.
Yeah, and it
That would have been
explains
great.
how some of these Jedi got away, and maybe they were just Padawans. Maybe they weren't full
And
blown
they
Jedi.
and they went back to that and had Obi-Wan using some of that when he did the fight against the two guys, and he was using a lot of that's a lot of
Yeah, I
Bakwa.
kind of like the way he kept getting punched in the face, like he wasn't used to
It reminded
that
me.
kind of combat. You know what I mean?
It reminded me like of like he had been out of practice. It
Yeah,
it reminded me of like Nobody.
yeah,
How he gets in there and he just gets clocked a few times, but he's still good. He just has to get back into the flow of things.
yeah.
Well,
Well, I think he wasn't trying to kill people,
well,
Yeah.
and he didn't want to get his lightsaber out, which would immediately be this big beacon of, "Oh, look, I'm a Jedi." Go ahead,
what was
Drew.
that freaking minute-long parkour scene with Riva running on the rooftop?
Yeah, I didn't like that.
No,
That felt
parkour is cool, and in a science fiction environment, it's even cooler.
the thing I
And it
didn't.
showed that she could run really, really fast.
I mean, it was
It's
the dumbest
awesome.
ever. And why? Here's the other thing. Then you got the dude from Silicon Valley. I always forget his name. Who's like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
okay, he's a con artist, and then he's like, suddenly he changes his whole life. Now, con artists are selfish, narcissistic people. They don't care about other people's feelings. And now all of a sudden, he's like helping Obi-Wan. The guy that kind of humiliated him a bit there and kind of broke his whole operation up. And he's now suddenly going to sacrifice himself for that. That
Well,
didn't
I'm
make
wondering. I'm
me
wondering.
by coincidence, like in the alley. It's like,
Right.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's maybe a story arc that's going somewhere. Because
Yeah, like I say that one, I'm
agree
willing
with
to
you.
give it time and see if they resolve it. If they don't resolve it,
Then
it
it
was
doesn't make
ham-fisted.
sense.
It doesn't make sense. But if it
Yeah.
comes back that
guys, you
he's
got
got some connection,
6 episodes to do this.
I
Not
know.
you know what? You're right.
I
6
know.
episodes to make an impact. And the impact I see is they're trying to make Riva the new badass who doesn't look cool. She doesn't, as an actress, have any visual impact on the screen. She's not like a Brad Pitt or an Angelina Jolie type character, or somebody that when you look at them, you're like, whoa, you can't take your eyes off of their actions and all. She's boring. Her dialogue is wooden. I feel sorry for the actress actually for having those lines and trying to, I don't know what her, what her whole idea of this character was, but all she's trying to do is be like, I'm filled with anger. There's no development of a character there. The other Inquisitors were cool looking, but they didn't do anything but walk around. There was a lot of running. Stormtroopers didn't really do anything. You had some bounty hunters there that were sort of rent a bounty hunter. You had a couple of those that
And
weren't.
none of those I found interesting.
The aliens in the background were the most interesting thing in the whole entire show.
Yeah.
I found that the creature, of course, seeing the creature that, and once again, we're reminded of Qui-Gon Jinn, which is no accident, him riding that critter.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. And him trying, I love everything about Ewan McGregor because A, he's a good actor. B, he gets the character. And I think the writers are more familiar with him, so it's not like a stretch. I like him calling out in his moment of, you see, he's day in and day out. You can see the drudgery, and he calls out for Qui-Gon Jinn. I think that was great, and he gets
Hmm.
no response. I mean, it's very sort of religious, when things are going poorly for you, and you call out to God and you get no answer, or things get
Yeah.
worse, and you feel like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And like I
love
said, I think the big reveal was him
And
realizing that Anakin is still alive at the end of these two, because I guess,
this.
he
I
did.
don't like it if you.
well,
You left this
but I
guy with his
want to.
arms and legs cut off on fire. You probably are like, well, I guess I took care of that problem.
But
He's like, oh,
Drew, I think you hit on it right there. That was actually one of the other aspects that I was going to say I really liked about this show was, and I feel kind of unfulfilled because they haven't, at least yet, explored that. And I thought that was a really cool aspect. I don't. I'm torn on it because I didn't like what they did with Luke in the sequels, where he's the broken old man who doesn't want to have anything to do with this stuff
yeah,
anymore. I don't like that, um, but I did like seeing Obi-Wan struggling with this personal, issue. Maybe if they hadn't had him make it so I don't know, so ready to put it upon anybody else, like Bail Organa. If Bail, calls him and he's like, all right, I'll go and do it. But inside he's got this concern, about himself having failed and where is everybody, and he feels disconnected, can't
right.
can't talk to Qui-Gon like Yoda had taught him to, and all this
Why
stuff.
he's not you. The force powers are kind of feel distant to him too,
Yeah,
because it is a spiritual thing, right? And when you're
yeah,
feeling down, you're not at your best. You're not. Things don't work. You drop things. You spill drinks. Things, little minor things go wrong, and they add up to the point where it's like, ugh. And you could kind of get that feeling, which I really liked. I agree with Mark. I did not like him completely, like, oh, bury your lightsaber and we lost. I mean, there's a little bit of that, but it seems like he didn't even try to help at all.
right,
Like, and I thought that was very unlike Obi-Wan. Even at his lowest, Obi-Wan
Yeah.
would find the willpower to help this dude, to try to get him out of there as best that he could, or know someone that could
I mean,
help.
literally, wouldn't that be your job? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Was
yeah,
he who told
and
stop the beacon from calling
yeah,
them home? I mean, he actually
yeah.
cares for their survival. And I mean, this Obi-Wan is, I get that he's struggling and all, but it seemed like once again, they break down the character to the point where it's like not the character anymore. I mean, people, like, there's a generation of people today that love the character being a loser. And I am not on board with that. I
yeah,
just think
Yeah.
that is, I don't
Well,
go,
and additionally, like when Leia jumps and ends up falling and grabbing onto that rope, I'm supposed to be concerned for her safety. Where I'm like, well, A, I know she lives because of the other movies, and B, there's a Jedi right there, and he's making it sound like it's really really difficult to use the Force to cushion her fall or lift her up or push her through a window or whatever. There's 100 things you could have done with the and like I don't feel that that was deftly handled. Like, oh
yeah.
no.
I understand they're trying to give him conflict and trials and stuff like that, but I think going the emotional route, like we were talking about,
Yeah.
with him feeling distant from Qui-Gon and Yoda and all that, and he's truly on his own and having to take care of this huge burden. I think there's enough fertile ground there to deal with that, and him to be just this really skilled, accomplished master who's out on his own, trying still to overcome those personal demons without giving him what felt like very trite, very, just tropes,
yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't, I've told you before, like the whole thing about the master being this, I don't know, like secondary character, and the students or whatever being the ones who are like really scary and really powerful. Yeah, I
Right, but
want to
he
see the
is a
master
Jedi
doing that
Master.
thing.
But I'm
That's
saying
what
that's
I
what I mean
mean.
is he's a Jedi
Yeah,
Master, arguably at the top of his game. It's been
should
10
be,
years. It's
should
been
be.
10
Yeah.
years, but I mean, he was a Jedi Master when all this went down, and he's been hiding for 10 years.
And
well,
you're telling me, and of all that time, as a master, he's in a cave, spending all that time himself. He doesn't break a sweat once in a while, just, practicing his stuff, getting going. I understand not messing with the force because you don't want to give yourself away and all of that, but at least keeping his training up and all that just didn't make sense. I didn't get that.
There were a lot of
Yeah.
things that didn't make sense. Like, for example, like how Riva in the huge town of Mos Eisley, right, and she
Obviously,
to pick the one person in the crowd to threaten their family, and it's Luke's family. I mean, the one
yeah.
person Obi-Wan's protecting. She just so happens to pick him. It was so hokey and ham-fisted.
No, it was dramatic, Drew.
No,
You don't understand. It was
It was the
dramatic
will of the
because
Force.
Owen could have dropped the bomb. Yeah, there's Jedi right over there. Get him,
so
and then it's a
ham-fisted.
whole new series,
The
isn't it?
writing awful. And I mean, like the other thing that, like I said before, it was nothing but a giant chase scene, a lot of running and running and running, and no like cool stuff. And I mean, like it was so disappointing. And I
I
mean,
did not
Yeah.
like that parkour part that you were talking about,
it
Drew.
was so funny. I was laughing during
It
that part.
was.
And I
I
were
was.
laughing.
I was
What?
cringing because it
Nothing to do
was.
with anything.
It actually made me upset, man. When she's sitting there knocking that tower over and does that flip thing at the end, I was like, why did you even flip? What's the point of that? Why would you flip? Just run across the
Because it
thing and keep
looks
going.
cool.
It
And you
didn't.
know what?
If it looked
It was like a
cool.
superhero landing. It looked all cool.
If she's so angry and badass, how come she didn't kill the Silicon Valley dude? You know,
Yeah.
I thought when she got the
Because
information,
she's going to question him because she got the information out
yeah,
of him.
hard push.
And by the way, if you're like the America's Most Wanted, we found him and he's in this town, right? Let's shut down the airport, but let's not shut down the bus station. Like that's the equivalent of what happened. We're like, oh no, those are just automated ones. Nobody would ever try to sneak onto that one and fly away. We're gonna put our crack troops at the airport, right?
Well, let's be honest. This is something I've never understood. You're putting a blockade around like Naboo, right? And the Trade Federation has like what, 10 ships? They're all centralized around this one part.
Yeah.
Apparently,
oh no, they're
the
trying to get
only
away with
spaceport.
11 ships.
It's like,
Other
what the
thing,
hell?
what about her? Like, so she stands there, the ship is taking off, and she holds her lightsaber up. I'm gonna get you, Kenobi. I'm a bad person. And it's like, wouldn't you just jump up there, use your lightsaber, cut in there, and kill anyone that gets in your way?
Right, and see that was the cool thing when Darth Maul was fighting Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan in that big scene, right? And that energy thing like came in front of him. He
Right.
didn't stand there yelling at him like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you as soon as." He just stopped, and he was like, "Okay," and he basically just you went into that like I'm a tiger in a cage, but a second this cage door opens, we're back at it. That was way more.
Yeah, that
of
was
a dramatic scene where where they were both like, okay, and I remember he tested it with his lightsaber because he was that aggressive.
Right.
Qui-Gon was the one who immediately just stopped, but the guy was like, okay, well I can't get through this, so I'm gonna wait, and he's pacing back and forth. That's right.
As soon as it opens, your ass is mine.
Right. Right. But that is characterization with zero dialogue. You know,
and that was the thing. Thank you so much. He said what, 2 lines out of that whole movie?
Yeah, like at last we'll have our revenge or something.
And really,
and that wasn't even his voice. That was somebody else.
And he seemed creepy,
Yeah.
He's dangerous. She doesn't seem dangerous at all. It's kind of like, it's like the Reservoir Dogs. You're gonna bark all day, little doggy, or are you gonna bite? And that's what I tell her. The whole lot of like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, and I cut this person's hand off who doesn't matter. It doesn't have any kind of weight to the story. Just like a lot of terrible. And I know there's a lot of people probably going to go out, oh, she was wonderful, she was great. Oh, the story was wonderful because it has Obi-Wan. It's like, no, it was not, everybody. I'm sorry.
I've seen a number of people who actually said that Reva was scary and terrifying and all that, and I didn't understand.
Were they 10?
No.
No. Scarier dudes on The Wire. They want to get that chick that went into Home Depot and bought the drill.
Right. Yeah. Omar's coming.
She was scary, and she hardly said any words, and her presence on the screen was like,
well, you know what really, maybe it was bad timing for them, but if you think about it, with Doctor Strange, the week before or something like that, whatever it was, 2 weeks before, whatever it was, you had Wanda, and then you go to this one where you have Reva, and the two, you can see Wanda is much more intimidating and scary as a villain than this lady ever was. This lady,
Great actress, but it's the
no,
made her better.
yeah, I
Well,
don't
see,
know,
and
man.
again,
The
I'm
writing
not
was,
convinced. Hold on, I'm not convinced that this lady's not a good actress.
yeah,
I don't
I
think
think it
we've
was the
hold on.
writing.
I don't think we've seen enough of her as an actress to make
I
that
agree,
call.
I agree,
I
but I'm
think that it was poorly written. I think it was poorly characterized. She might be acting the hell out of the script they gave her,
Yeah,
which is unfortunate. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
if
like saying Natalie Portman's not a good actress because of her
but the
performance in
other,
the prequels, right?
you know, yeah, poor Natalie. Wow.
Right.
yeah,
But
those lines
the character design
were.
wasn't inspired either. Like Drew
Well, it's
said,
very. It looks like an armored up Imperial officer's uniform.
Yeah, and
Is where what I'm getting from
at a
that.
Halloween party.
right, it doesn't want
Okay.
to put up because it's a hassle. It's off, and it's a
Yeah.
party. Relax. Here's the other, the ones. It's funny. The other guys are more inspiring, and why were they more inspiring?
Right.
Because they existed already, and they were created by someone else. They were
Yeah,
in Rebels, and
Oh, were those
they
the guys from Rebels or whatever? So
yeah.
she's the new Inquisitor.
and Rebels stole so much from Ralph McQuarrie's stuff. Like if you go and look at his sketchbooks, you can see like, oh, that was in Rebels, that was in Rebels, that was in Rebels. Hell, freaking the creature, what's his name, Zeb, was what the Wookiee was supposed to look like, what Chewbacca
Mm-hmm.
was supposed to look like.
Yeah.
I mean, it took everything from there, and it looked cool. But with this, it's kind of like, I know we're gonna just put on a black uniform and a cape, and we'll just make it.
Yeah. Well, like who were those blonde or bald Jedi chicks? I know I've seen like sketches of them, but I think they were also one of the animated ones. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep,
I think they were like twin sisters or something, but they're both
yep.
bald and super scary looking. And
Like
I'm not
cool
saying
would
bring
it
them in, but that's how you could.
Are you talking about the Night Sisters? Who are you talking about?
Maybe I'm not sure. Drew will know what I'm talking about
the
though.
Night Sisters were really cool, but there are drawings in some of the in the sketchbooks.
Oh, you're talking about that. I thought he was talking about a. I'm sorry. I thought you meant an actual character. I gotcha.
And I mean, it's like they could have given her like cool tattoos or something,
Yeah.
like on the forehead, and taken her hair and done
Right.
up knotted it all up, made her look
Or
Right,
sinister.
or visually, if you're doing like the what is it, like almost like the Predator braids or something like that, where
Right.
you've got the cornrows and braids or whatever. Visually, that can be really exciting in fight scenes. The way they're kind of, it's like some of the martial arts where they'll have like tassels on the back of the sword and things like that. That just adds this visual element to an already cool move. There's things that can be done. And this felt like, nope, let's just put her in a cool uniform and
what
go.
do you think, Drew? What do you think about the changes they made to the Grand Inquisitor, considering how he was
It's a
in
whim.
Rebels? Okay,
Oh, it's
considering that, and remember in Rebels, yeah, I know, but I mean
I
that
didn't like.
I forgive the look because the body.
He
I
still looked
mean, who's
cool.
going to be built like a Pow on? Um, but they didn't have the same. The texture of the skin wasn't the same. The teeth didn't look the same. He didn't have the tattoos that were from the sun out of Clone Wars, which I thought the character design in the Clone Wars was the coolest callback in Rebels, was seeing him and being like, I know where they got the inspiration for that was from the sun. And they kind of did away with that. It just, I don't know.
Or well, compared to Riva, those guys looked like Darth Maul.
Yeah,
They looked
yeah,
really awesome compared to Riva.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like they just gave up. They like didn't even try. And it's like I think the thing I found the most appalling is how quickly Riva, of course, takes out the Grandmaster without him even knowing it was coming. It's like so much for being the Grand Master.
yeah,
You'd think he had
yeah. The whole
some.
watch and learn thing.
There
Yeah.
was one thing I noticed that was kind of cool that I thought they kind of hinted in there. Of course, it might have been not what they intended. But when Princess Leia, as a kid, is at the party and her cousin's being a douche, and she just humiliates him,
Yeah.
and it felt to me like she tapped into the Force. Now,
Yeah.
she could have been just very intuitive, but it seemed to me like she almost was reading him.
Yeah, that's the impression I got. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, me too. Me too.
but
And I
then
like that. Like I said, I enjoyed her as a kid and kind of that interaction, and her not taking any guff off her older cousin and embarrassing him.
he dropped the ball with Obi-Wan. You know, if she's that intuitive, she would have been like, "Oh, you are a Jedi. You are here
Yeah.
to me." Instead, it's like, "No, you're not. I'm gonna run."
Yeah,
That was part
yeah,
of the writing part you were talking about that didn't
yeah.
make any sense to me. It seemed capricious and kind of, it was out of
Yeah, I
nowhere.
know you got
Yeah.
me out of this cell, but we need a reason for me to fall off this building.
Yeah, you rescued
Hmm.
me from these kidnappers to then kidnap me?
And it's not you didn't have you know, a person to get him in that situation. Like it could have been a bounty hunter that could have hit him, and Obi-Wan bumps into her, and she goes, "Oh!" She goes over, and then he like, "Oh!" in the middle of a fight. Then you would have had action, and he would have been strained to try to use the Force, and he could have just caught her there and then levitated her when he takes the guy out. But instead, it's like, you know, I'm just going to try to run away from you, even though there are obvious bad guys chasing us. It's like,
You know what
And
I think
and
they should
and what
have?
10-year-old is able to jump between buildings? Like the first three buildings were like a 2.5 foot, space between them.
Yeah. And she's got the upper body strength and finger strength to catch a wire on the way down.
man,
And yeah, there would have been her and four fingers laying on the ground. But um, I wish they had not spent any time with the kidnapping part itself. If you want to have her get kidnapped, that's fine, but kind of jump to it so we don't have to see this nonsense stuff going on in the woods and all that. Then you got time for some extra stuff. Because
Yeah.
I think you're right when you're saying they only got 6 episodes, and why waste time with it? And they want to get
Right.
to Vader because Vader's the big thing.
Yeah.
And
So
man, I
again,
hope they do well with
let's
that.
break it down. Like let's go. Okay, so in the first two episodes, which is really one big episode, let's be honest, we all watched both of them at the same time. So they put out one big long two. Was it? How long are the episodes? 45 minutes
It was
or?
about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the equivalent of a movie, an hour and a half, right?
Yeah.
And what have we established? Obi-Wan's in hiding. Leia's
Working
growing
at a
up,
meat mining
working in a
factory.
meat mining thing, and the Inquisitors are after all the Jedi, right? And the one Jedi's like, oh, I'm gonna kidnap this senator's daughter. Think about that for a moment. We're gonna kidnap a senator's daughter because he has a relationship with this, America's Most Wanted guy who's on the list, and we're still trying to catch him. I'm like, okay, that shows that she's willing to like break a few eggs and do some things that would probably not be sanctioned. I'm like, I'm okay with that. Lures Obi-Wan out of hiding, and he discovers that Anakin is still alive. That is basically all we've established in
Yeah.
in the equivalent of a movie. Have I missed
Yeah.
anything?
Oh yeah, and the Jawas steal things.
And cleaning
Yeah.
is extra.
Cleaning is extra. The Jawa steal things.
Yeah.
Now I will say, Ewan McGregor, love him. He was a high point.
Screen presence again. I
Right,
mean,
but he didn't get to do very much. The stuff
No, I
he
know.
did,
I'm just
I know.
saying
I'm with you.
he's a
Like
positive.
we all agree he's a good actor. I
Yeah.
don't think he's been given a lot to do with the character in these two scripts. That's what I'm saying.
No, I don't think he has either. But I like him. He was a high point. And Jimmy Smits, I've always liked him as Bail
Yeah.
Organa.
And we
I
got
think
to see
he's a
Leia's
high
mom.
point.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah. And what's funny is the one thing I won't give him a hard time about, though, with any of that, well, two things. One is them being able to go to Alderaan and get her. People were saying, well, how's that happen? And all, well, if you remember from A New Hope, Alderaan is a peaceful planet. They have no weapons.
That's right. That'll teach them. Just
That'll
roll in
teach 'em.
there, and
I was kind of shocked
Anybody can walk in.
when Bale is going on to her like, "And you're going to be senator of Alderaan," and I'm thinking, yeah, for a very, very, very short time,
like one day, all of this will be yours.
will be yours.
Right, but like in all seriousness, that is the thing I actually enjoyed about these two series. Like we've never seen Alderaan really. You know what I mean? We've heard about it, and it's where she comes from. So getting a chance to spend a tiny little bit of time there, I thought was pretty good. It's going to give you that emotional, like, oh wow, look at this, and you're more emotionally invested in what happens to it later. I didn't mind that. I kind of like that aspect. Again,
I
we may not
actually
go
would have.
back. Who
I
knows?
actually would have dove into that a bit more and done the whole Krypton thing. You know, you go
Mm,
into it a good bit and you know it's going to blow up, so you
yeah,
just kind of build that opportunity to build even more
right.
nostalgia for it before it
Yeah. Now, I also
dies.
like that we went somewhere besides a place we've already been
Yeah,
in the canon. You know, we're not on
and not
Tatooine. We
another
left
desert
Tatooine.
one.
Thank goodness. It's not a desert. We left Tatooine. It's not Coruscant. It's not,
Jakku.
Endor,
Yeah.
Jakku, I mean,
Tons
so
of
that was kind of cool. I mean, there wasn't anything terribly unique about where they went. What was it, like Dirty Vegas?
Yeah, it was like Blade Runner. It was like
Yeah.
they had flown to LA in 2025 or whatever it was supposed to
Yeah.
I love
be.
Tatooine has two suns. Like anyone doesn't know that by now. It's been watching. They've beaten that into your head to the point of
Yeah.
the two suns. Get out of the two suns of Tatooine. It's like yes, yes, yes.
And since Star Wars came out, we've discovered that two suns is actually very common. So it's actually very hard to get away from. There's a lot of places that apparently have that. But
It's really
yeah,
great getting out to get a tan. You really don't have to adjust too much. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. You barely have to turn over.
Man, the
Yeah.
Inquisitorius.
Here's hoping it gets better. But I got to tell you guys, I'm not hopeful in this thing. I,
Yeah. Again, I'm still middle of the road. Hey, we got some Star Wars. It wasn't, didn't turn me off. I'm more excited. Like I don't mind a slow ramp up, right? Because we got 6 episodes. We're in the first act, right? The first act is the setup, right? Because you go 2, 4, 6, right? 3 acts. We got 2 episodes per act if we want to break it down like that. And so I'm like, okay. And again, I've just described the setup. Not a whole lot going on. Obi-Wan's out of hiding, trying to save Leia. I was like, okay, I'm interested. He's going to save her, obviously. He's dealing with the Inquisitors. And we've hinted that Darth Vader is going to be in the mix. And we know from all the stuff we've seen
we know that Reva's
he's going to show up somewhere.
very.
She's angry about something.
Can Obi-Wan come out to play?
My hope is that they're going to do something similar to what was in Jedi Fallen Order. Did you play that at all, Drew?
No, I did not. In my mind, I did, and I finished it. I did really well.
No, you should have Sarah play it. She would love that. She would love that, and the story in it is really, really good. And the ending was really good, with Vader showing up. That was real good.
Is
What?
that when you're like with the Sith?
No,
No, which one was that? That was Force Unleashed.
that was Force Unleashed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been,
No,
actually,
she's what?
she's playing that.
Oh, good, good. Force Unleashed, I thought was great. The first one was awesome.
I was listening to her like, oh my god, like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. It was like, oh my god, like I'm trained right.
Tell her if you play it enough, and this is true, if you play it and beat the game enough, the game will eventually break so that you get unlimited force energy and unlimited health. And so I played it enough times. I remember there was a point at which the game, I guess, just finally gave up. And the bar that shows your health and your force energy suddenly jumped all the way across the screen. And every time I got hit with something, it would flash, but it would never go down. And so I was in
Unlimited power.
you have no idea. That level where you go to the Death Star, you jump into the Death Star and they got the AT-STs coming at you and the Death Troopers and all that stuff. Dude, you just sit there in the middle and you just force lightning everything until nothing's moving anymore. It is awesome. I saved that. I saved that to my hard drive. I have it to this day. But yeah, if you do that.
All honesty, with this show, I mean, I will definitely say I'm a 5 out of 10. But unlike Mark has more hope normally than I do.
Rebellions are built on hope.
I think Mark is more of a cup half empty kind.
Half full.
Kind of
Yeah,
boat.
like I said, I'm probably closer to a 6-ish, 6+. You know what I'm saying? Like it didn't deliver everything I wanted, but I have enough like hope and faith that with the remaining 4 episodes that we're going to get a bunch of cool stuff.
Well, that's always been the thing with Star Wars, hasn't it? You know, I mean, the first 3 were cool enough, really, good enough that the stuff that's questionable or,
You
you
overlooked
really
it.
just
Yep.
overlooked it. And
Yeah.
then when the prequels came out, the stuff that was cool in there was so cool that it again helped you to overlook the Gungans and all that stuff. And
Almost. Almost. Maybe.
and
Some of
then
you
you
were.
have, and then you know what's weird though, man. I don't know why they don't look more at the games and stuff because you got to admit those the cinematic trailers they had for the Old
Hmm.
Republic and all that.
Hmm.
That stuff's amazing,
Yeah.
and Force Unleashed and all that.
Hmm.
There's so much that they could dive into, and I don't get why the needle's over here for the game stuff,
Like I
and
say,
then when
all
it comes,
Yeah,
I think it's got to do with it's gotten so big and there's so many lawyers and studio execs involved that they want to deliver something cool and they want to play it real safe and they want to unfortunately check some boxes and we're going to put some stuff in here that they want to tell a message rather
I,
than a story.
and the
Drew,
writers are
Drew,
trying.
you cut out for me for part of that. Start over again, please.
Okay, I think it's more to do with the writers, and that they get writers that are not action oriented writers. There are
Mm.
action oriented writers, people that know about how do a choreograph a fight, to show action, to know pacing. These guys they've got writing don't know anything about that. They want to try to do this like characterization, and they're not even good at that. I mean, it's almost like it just reminded me of like when John Woo, no, not John, yeah, when he did the Incredible Hulk, when he directed the
mhm.
Hulk, and instead of making it like a cool like a man's mind versus a monster and that fight inside, and then he wrecks havoc everywhere. He tried to do a beautiful mind, and it was just awful.
Yeah, it was awful.
That's what this is. They're too busy trying to make a beautiful mind, and it's an action flick, guys. It has pacing. Yes, there are things that make you love the characters, but they don't need a paragraph of words to make it weighty. They need a few words because the actors, you have faith in your actors to be able to just look and have an expression that says everything you need to say without all those freaking words. And it's just, they don't get it.
No, you're right. Because if you think about it, and it makes sense if you think about the stuff that inspired Lucas, when you think about Yojimbo, for instance, perfect example of that. And for anybody who hasn't seen that, if you just think of, Fistful of Dollars, the man with no name, very
Mm.
quiet, very, few words, that kind of thing. And that sets the tone for everything. And that's what made it so cool was it was like you said, it was action driven, but it was really character driven just through what we express ourselves through
Right?
most, which is body language,
And it's not running.
Yeah.
Let's make that's
Mm.
not action.
Yeah.
Is an action.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Doing flips off an antenna for no reason is not
No,
running.
that
Just
was
so
so cool. That
stupid.
was so cool. I'm telling you, man. Parkour Sith is where it's at.
You
I
know,
wish
the
I
funny
wish
thing,
they had watched the Clone
there being,
Wars.
there are like so many people that are going like, that was so cool when he was running
Yeah.
across. No, there are so
Right,
many.
and unfortunately, I mean that's the same thing when in what is it, the Book of Boba Fett, when the dude kind of does that flip around and then it's like shooting, he's like holding the Wookiee up and he's like, oh, I gotta flip around and look cool and shoot this guy, and everybody's like, cut.
Uh,
Why was that in there? You know what I mean? Because it looked cool, right? And here's the thing, like choreography that is
oh,
tactically sound can look just as cool or cooler than the flashiness, right? And they
right.
both have their space. The Matrix was over the top and it was ridiculous, and people running up the sides of walls and doing like none of that was realistic, but it fit the style of the movie, right? Star Wars has never been of that. Well, I can't say because all the lightsaber fighting and whatnot. Let's face it, in the original trilogy, it was kind of lame.
Yeah.
The concept was cool, but it was kind of lame. That's one
Well,
thing the prequels got 100% right was how cool those lightsaber battles looked.
I don't know if
Well,
Right,
because of Ray Park.
I don't know
right,
if I
exactly.
paper battle look cool.
What's that?
Which
Which
one?
one?
I said, even at my age, I don't think I could make a lightsaber battle look cool.
Right.
Even
Hey,
for the
have you guys seen the YouTube video where these special effects guys redid the
Yeah.
lightsaber battle in the original Star Wars
Yeah.
between Obi-Wan and Luke, and kind of stuck that in there.
SC-38.
Yeah. Oh man, that was so amazing. And I think they're working on the one in Cloud City also
Yeah,
for the next one. But I was like, they need to like cut that out. You know how we did the special edition with all the CGI like animals and stuff? Y'all need to cut that out and insert it into Star Wars. That's how you do that. That
Well,
was
that's
really
the
well
thing I
done.
was saying about the Star Wars thing. You would figure, even with the writers that you were talking about and stuff like that, yes, you would have a propensity to miss more often than not, but every now and again, you would figure that they would have a hit, something that really was amazing. And so far,
Rogue
the
One.
only, yeah, but that's what I was going to say. So far, the
Yeah.
only one I've seen has been Rogue One.
Yeah.
The other ones, nah, it really hasn't. And you figure there would have been more because you just look at all these different influences and the SC-38 thing, or you go outside the genre and you look at something like John Wick and you
Yeah.
see that and you're like, oh my goodness, we need to add that level of coolness and professionalism into the Star Wars universe because that's where it should have been. And you don't have that. And I
Yeah,
don't
I
get
mean,
that.
imagine if you killed John Wick's youngling, and some Jedi John Wick was like, "Oh, that's it, it's on."
His Gundark.
That's
that's right.
right.
Think what he does for a dog. What is he going to do for a youngling? He's going
That's
to
right.
really.
Right,
Somebody pulled the ears off his Gundark.
that's right. And someone's gonna pay.
Voodoo.
Because it's not like Star Wars hasn't had some ridiculousness. Like I said, I don't understand, for instance, how Naboo was ever a military force at all. I don't understand how the Trade Federation was ever a military force at all. You figure they're invading the planet, and apparently Naboo has like 30 aircraft, and they're all kept under the palace, and there's nothing else. And the entire fate of the planet is decided at the plains of whatever the hell they're fighting in with all those robots. And you would figure the Trade Federation up there. So what are we going up against here? What's the what's the military like down there? Well, they're an aquatic species, and so okay, all right. So where are we fighting under what? No, they're going to meet us in the field. All right, all right. What do they have? Well, they have dinosaurs that they ride, and they're going to be throwing like slingshot things at us. Okay, and what do we have? We have tanks.
We have everything else.
We have fighters. We have orbital support. Well, they have shields. They have shields, sir. So that's going to be a problem then. We do have those, but they have shields. Okay, so those are going to stop us then? So what do we do? Well, if we walk really slowly,
Yeah.
we can actually walk through the shields and get to them. Okay.
I mean, what? Let's order some of those speeder bikes from Tatooine.
Oh my god. Did you see the preview for is it Andor? Or Endor?
Yeah.
Andor, right? Yeah, that was good. In a way, I'm looking forward to that more now. I know I'm such a sucker. They're just going to trick me again.
That's how they get you. That's how they get you.
I'm looking forward to something outside of everything. I mean, at this point, I want to see something different. And this looks different, but yet it seems to look like Star Wars to me. But it looks different.
What's weird is it seems like Disney or ILM, whichever one is in charge of it. Well, Disney is overall, but it seems like they're acting like everybody's tired of seeing lightsabers and the Force used, and so they're always holding it back. And, we're not going to give all that. We're going to make it all this other stuff instead of the lightsabers and the Force and all that action, like Mark was saying, action and all that stuff. And I don't think that's so. I think everybody's like, no, we want it to be built upon. We want to see the coolness go up and up and up.
I want to see an epic lightsaber.
Yeah. I want to see Obi-Wan and Vader at the height of their power doing really cool stuff, that kind of thing. And it feels like they're acting like, let's hold back on that. I think people are probably sick of that sort of thing. Let's give them, something else. I don't know. It didn't make any sense. But I'm hopeful. They showed...
I decided not to go with that. How about a chase scene? They're running a lot.
What if she falls off the roof?
Wow.
You know what would have been great is if she'd have employed the people on the speeder bikes to kidnap Leia. Then you could have believed that a little girl could outrun them in the woods.
He's
Yeah.
chasing it through the woods in a speeder bike.
2-mile-an-hour race going on out there. Oh man.
Yeah,
So
literally jump out from behind the bush and shoot her with one of those, like, on stun or whatever. That'd be a callback to the original movie. Like, it didn't have to be some big parkour chase through the bushes. So
It made
yeah.
like do like a mock video and have me running in the woods and have one of you guys swing like a palm leaf in my face, like, oh.
Yeah, when he ran into when I
I
saw them running,
laughed. Yeah.
It was so laughable. It's so like it was so not intentional as well.
you know what I felt like? I felt like I was watching the character players at a theme park as they were interacting with small children walking through the park, like Gaston reacting with some, little girl dressed as a princess or something.
Oh
It
my god,
just, yeah.
so bad. That was so bad. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, I couldn't believe my eyes when I
Yeah.
saw that. It's like, and Sarah was like, "What?" I could see, like, she couldn't believe it either. And she's way less experienced in seeing cinema and things, and she's not buying it. She's like,
Yeah.
it's kind
Helena
of
felt
Yeah,
the
and
same
again,
way.
twice in the same 2 episodes, a little 10-year-old kid is running away from grown adults and getting away. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's not how that works, like, ever.
was it South Park had the episode with the parkour.
Yeah.
Saying it, parkour. That's what I kept saying while
Yeah,
she
yeah.
proof.
The
I
Office
think it
had
was The
that.
Office is what you were
Yeah.
talking about, not South Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Office. How can I forget what it
Yeah.
said? The Office. Parkour.
All right. Well, again, I think I think we said enough about Obi-Wan.
I think so. Yeah.
I need you to know I have a hard out because I'm going to see Top Gun Maverick, which is getting amazing reviews. So I'll be ready to talk about that. But what I really wanted to let you guys know is that I bought this
Look at
the other
that.
day, which is just the box top, but
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
I got this because we're ready. Yeah, so like this new one, it comes with like some dice or whatever and some cards. So it's got like this little die here that's got like the eye of the computer on it. You know what I mean? So,
I've
so I've
noticed
been going
that's
through
become
that. So
I've noticed that's become the new nom de rigueur for games, it seems.
yeah, custom dice and
Yeah. Yeah, because I looked up the Star Wars RPG and they have the same thing. It's like, come on, man.
I know we all have dice, but no, now they got to be like super special custom dice that
Yeah.
are only good in our game. So
Can't be a 1. It's got to be a little,
that's
rebel
right.
symbol
That's right.
or
But
something.
but our group of friends, we did Boot Hill the other day, and we decided the next time we get together, we're going to do Paranoia. So I bought the new box set, and I'm preparing an adventure for Paranoia, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Oh,
like-
that's awesome. You're doing
Yeah,
that?
and I've been reading the book. It's got some really cool advice in the book, for like people who maybe haven't played the game before, run a role playing game or whatever. Like there's some, it's interesting. Drew, you were saying something. I didn't hear you.
Yeah, it's like the DCC game. Have you seen all the weird dice that you can get for that they sell? Like
Oh no.
3, 1 through 5, or like 1
Oh, okay.
30. It's just kind of awesome and stupid. We all of us bought like a bag full of these oddball dice and everything. It's just so weird.
Yeah, and they got a bunch of them now that are shaped in. They're not like a round sphere with X number of sides cut into it. They're it's shaped like a wand, or it's shaped like a thing, or they're like cylinders. And the way there's some really odd shaped dice out there nowadays that I think are just kind of silly and gimmicky, but. Whatever. We need to figure out a way to sell little hunks of plastic to people that are different than the little hunks of plastic they had before.
Mm.
Do you remember when D&D first came out and there was a shortage on dice? Like you couldn't find them anywhere.
Well,
Like
that's because they got them from like some kind of like teacher supply, scientific. They were never gaming dice. They were like from some teacher supply catalog or something.
We instead of crayon, we used to use our because my buddy and I we did a lot of artwork and we had rapidograph pens.
Yeah.
So we used the Indian ink and we'd get in there and like do all our numbers that way. And but there for a while there was like a shortage on dice because the game like just became so popular. D&D was so popular that they were like they had to like try to go out and find someone to make these dice.
And thus ChessX was born.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I was going to say that's where ChessX came from.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guyou and Mark. I hope you have a good time. Mark, I don't think I'm going to go see it because I didn't like the original. so you're going to have to just spoil
All right,
it for me.
I'll do the heavy lifting. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I've even seen all of the first one.
Okay. Well, like I said, it's
Drew-
good. I saw it. I saw the original when it came out with my buddy Paul up in Marlow Heights. You know, which is also where I saw The Empire Strikes Back. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I remembered seeing that with Paul and coming out of it, and you know, like, oh, that was so cool. Let's go join the Navy or something. You know what I mean? That was the best recruiting poster ever filmed.
Yeah. Yeah. Drew and I, every time we watch that, we can only make it up to the part where you play volleyball, and then, well, things take a different turn.
That's right. They always do. I'm hoping for good things in the volleyball scene in this movie.
All right.
On that note,
thanks,
all right, bye.
All right, guys. This concludes our Sweet Nerd and Enter broadcast.